Kansas mayor just won re-election on Tuesday, only to be hit with 6 felony charges for allegedly voting illegally as a non-citizen. And you guys heard that correctly. A man, not even a U.S. citizen, was running his town and casting ballots for years. And the system didn't catch him until after he applied for citizenship. And it gets worse, because this wasn't an oversight.
The mayor of a small town in rural Kansas is facing criminal charges for allegedly voting as a non-citizen.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud. The AG alleges the mayor illegally cast ballots in the August 2024 primary and November 2022 and 2023 general elections.
Trust that when the person signed the registration or signs the poll books saying that he's a qualified elector or that he is a United States citizen, that the person is telling the truth.
How does a non-citizen become a mayor, then get caught voting? That sentence didn't make a whole lot of sense, right? But in Coldwater, Kansas, it's exactly what happened. Jose Ceballos, mayor, small town leader, probably local celebrity at the diner, and apparently not a U.S. citizen. This man was literally running the town while breaking the law to vote in it. Now, this isn't a skit. This is not a joke. He has been charged with 6 felonies, voting while unqualified, and lying on electric forms. Yes, the mayor of a 700-person town just got hit with 6 voter fraud charges. And somehow, no one noticed this for years. Let's get into it. So let's start at the top. This is Coldwater, Kansas. Population, about the size of one Costco line on a Saturday. Everyone knows everyone, small town. So how does one guy in charge slip through the system?
State leaders say Coldwater Mayor Jose Ceballos committed fraud by voting in several elections dating back to 2022.
Yeah, so Ceballos voted, as you pointed out, in elections dating back to 2022. Now, we should note he is in the country legally. He is a legal resident, but voting is illegal, and he faces 6 felony counts, up to 68 months in prison and up to $200,000 in fines if he is found. They say that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Here's more of what they had to say.
One of the reasons that those individuals have remained on our voter rolls is because you can't simply look at the voter rolls and say, that person's a citizen, that person's not a citizen. The only way you can discover that a non-citizen is on the voter rolls is if some sort of external information comes to light.
So Ceballos wasn't hiding in the shadows. He was out there smiling in front of City Hall, swearing oaths, signing papers, shaking hands. And through all that, not one single person thought to check if the mayor was allowed to even vote. Kansas officials said that he voted in 3 elections, 2022, 2023, and 2024. And now they're saying that he never had citizenship in the first place, which means every time he hit that submit ballot button, it was a crime.
Today, I am announcing the filing of criminal charges by my office in the case of State of Kansas versus Jose Ceballos. Mr. Ceballos, age 54, resides in Coldwater, Kansas, and is not a United States citizen. He is a legal permanent resident of the United States and a citizen of Mexico. This is not part of the prosecution, but worthy of note in this case is the fact that Mr. Ceballos ran for and was elected to the office of mayor of Coldwater, Kansas in 2021 and is currently serving in that office. And he was on the ballot yesterday for the office of mayor. Kansas law at KSA 15-209 requires a city officer to be a qualified elector, and being a qualified elector requires that person to be a United States citizen.
Now, here's where things get a little confusing for me in my brain. You have to be a citizen to cast a ballot. That was the rule. Well, everyone said that, right? If you even said anything to the contrary, you would be attacked and called stupid because, again, if the person is not a citizen, they can't vote. But this man walked into the booth on 3 separate occasions and said, "Don't worry, I got this." How does that even happen? Isn't that the whole point of election systems, to catch stuff like this?
I just want to say on the policy side, we now have tools thanks to the current White House that we haven't had for over 10 years that we can check through the SAFE program to find out if folks end up on our voter rolls. And they could be a legal resident, but they're not a citizen, and we want to make sure that gets clarified. If they voted, then it's a crime. And we have run that system. We're currently verifying. We don't want any false positives. but Attorney General, be prepared to be busy as we go through these and find out potential positives of people who are non-U.S. citizens that have voted. I'll tell you, I'm a little bit more surprised if this happens. I was never really a big believer this happens. I always came from the angle of let's prove it's not happening. And then we get the data, and it's important we clean this up.
I mean, you can't blame the regular folks for being a bit confused. I mean, for years, we've heard voter fraud is a myth. Is this a 1 in a million story? Or is this something that happens more often than not? He wasn't even supposed to be voting. It makes the whole process look like a glitchy video game. And when these things happen, it gives ammo to every politician that screams fraud on TV while quietly ignoring the fact that the system missed this. How did a person who leads a town get away with doing something that the DMV would have caught in 5 minutes? So when someone says non-citizens can't vote, but the problem is they can if no one bothers to check. It's the kind of irony only here in America that we can pull off. We're spending billions guarding elections, but can't even vet our own small town mayors. But hey, it's a small town still. This should not be happening anywhere. That's why people say the system is rigged, even if these cases are very rare. In the last 20 years, Kansas has recorded fewer than a dozen actual non-citizen voting cases. But still, who knows what actually did slip through the cracks? What if there's actually more people? I mean, this is one mayor. This is a person with a public record. It's not some random person who just slipped through. I mean, this person is supposed to be trusted to enforce the law that he was breaking. So now the feds and the state officials are circling, checking out this story, and this ex-mayor, I guess I would say that, he has his first court date in December. If convicted, he is looking at over 5 years in prison. You already know the headlines is going to be hitting, especially to certain politicians that believe that this makes their talking points real. Kansas mayor charged with voter fraud. That's going to live rent-free in every political commentator in that area till the next election. So it doesn't matter if it's 1 out of 3 million votes. It's possible it could be more people than that.
I don't know how large the number is going to be. My early indications are that it's a very large number. And then at that point, obviously it's a greater violation, or it entails more violations of law to vote and to be registered. In registering.
So the whole situation is just kind of embarrassing because we assume people in charge are vetted, qualified, and honest. We assume the paperwork matches the person, and that assumption is probably how a lot of these scams are slipping through. It could be incompetence, it could be malice. The system is supposed to be built to catch these things, but they're not. I guess no one is expecting a mayor of a 700-person town to be pulling off some kind of immigration fraud, yet here we are. The man running this small town might have been doing this through borrowed paperwork. So what's the moral of this story? I don't know, check IDs? I have no idea. I mean, America is always shouting about election integrity like it's a brand slogan, but we're not even getting that done. Maybe we should start by verifying who's actually holding the keys to City Hall, because what happened here in this small town just proved that the call can be coming from inside the house. Let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below. If you are interested in this type of content, subscribe if you haven't. Most of you are not subscribed. What's wrong with you? Hit that subscribe button, especially if you reach the end of this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.